So why don't you hit us with the intro in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Off the Cut.
Dude, I haven't touched any wood in a long time.
I want to put my face in that grass.
Or you're trying to make eye contact with a person.
Maybe you're looking at it from the wrong angle.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm glad we got the explicit out of the way early.
It is an absolute miracle that any of us have made it to episode 147 of Off the Cut Podcast.
Sure is.
Not only have we not been canceled in almost 3 years of doing this thing, but we've somehow managed to always run into tech issues. Perfect example. We're starting 15 minutes late tonight. I don't have a camera on, and I'm hotspotting on my phone to make this whole thing possible. But regardless of that, KM Tools is still sponsoring this podcast. Nobody knows why. Well, if you haven't heard about KM Tools, it is for woodworkers by woodworkers, meaning everything that they've got has been thoroughly tested by Jonathan and his team, or has been developed by Jonathan and other creators like the Bourbon Blade, QASMR, chop, 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 chop. So, like Zach likes to say, if it's in their store,
it's in their store.
It's in their store. If it's in their shop, it's also in their shop. The cool thing is every single we'll go with this. Every single month, we give away a $50 gift card to KM Tools. All you have to do is go over to patreon.com/offthecutpodcast, sign up for any tier level. You get signed up for the after show, the bonus episode, if you will, tons of other perks, and a portion of all the proceeds of any sale over at camtools.com goes directly towards the Katz Moses Woodworkers with Disabilities Fund, which gets tools and resources into the hands of folks who need it most. Whew.
Oh, yeah.
But
that's what's up.
Yeah, so check out KM Tools. But we've got an exciting announcement tonight. You know, it's been a while, right? It's been a holiday season. Got a lot things going on. People are busy, but start of the new year, we wanted to bring on a guest, one of our good friends, John from Biscuit Tree Woodworks. John, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah,
thank you.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So, John, you're actually one of our patrons, which now we're going to have a long line of patrons being like, I want to be on the show. But we didn't bring you on just because you're a patron. You're a good friend of ours. We had the pleasure of
the bribe money wasn't quite enough.
I mean, it doesn't hurt, let's be honest. But
see, we met at a Workbench Con, right? We went out to dinner several times. We hung out pretty much the entire weekend. We had a fantastic time. And I know that you've been in the content creation game for like 2.5 years.
Yeah, right about 2.5 years now. I started in July of 22 is the first video I uploaded. Yeah.
Oh man. See that have you noticed that it seems like a long time ago, but it also doesn't seem like a long time ago when you say that?
It's to the point now where people ask me how long I've been doing it for, and I'm like, I don't know. I know, kind of as long as I can, like, I don't know. Yeah, like obviously not forever, but for more years than I can count, I guess.
Right,
so,
right.
At a certain point, things like that, it seems like another lifetime ago, right? It's like
I know,
in my old life.
Yeah, exactly, right. So,
well, I started in 2019, which also doesn't seem like that long ago, but it is. Like,
did we? I guess we started about the same time then, Eric. I think.
Yeah,
that was last decade.
Yeah, true.
Oh, come on, Deric.
Decade.
You're killing me, man. You're killing me.
Well, I thought it would be interesting to have John on because, John, you're kind of like, how do I say this? I feel like your channel is kind of breaking through. You're getting from that point. Yeah, you're starting to see a lot of success. So I feel like you're in that kind of arc of your career where you're like, this thing is really taking off and this is like really going to become something. So I thought that would be like kind of an interesting experience for some of our audience because I know a lot of our audience are content creators. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's Does it feel that way to you? Does it feel like things are starting to take off? And
this year has been, well, I guess last year now, 24 was a pretty extraordinary year.
Yeah,
huge growth last year. I started out 24 around 23, maybe 25,000 subscribers, and right now I'm over 90,000 subscribers.
you're creeping up to 100,000 now.
I got a note from whenever you came on in May with me, and you were at 66 back then.
Yeah.
So that's not that long ago. That's good. That's a good progress, man.
Yeah, I'm going on a pretty good clip right now. So
Yeah.
Projected to hit 100,000 here in another couple weeks.
Ooh,
100,000 is one of those things where it's like it's such a big milestone to hit. But I remember when I hit 100,000, like I think I was actually in kind of like a lull of my, I just kind of like crept over the line rather than just like smashing through it,
It's like one of those things where you're picking up like one subscriber a day and you're like, oh, I hit 100,000. Yeah.
You refresh it and it's gone down once. Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Well, John, the funny thing is like you'll get so pumped when you get to 100,000, and you should, man. And you're like,
yes, you definitely should. Yes,
I can't wait till I get that verification check mark and they send out that trophy. Dude, it takes months for them to reach out and get you that stuff. And you'll get so mad about it.
Yeah, and they do the mini ones now. Did y'all see they shrunk the size of them?
They shrunk the size of, you know why I think they did that? Because now there's all these people who, just doing shorts, man. You have like 3 viral shorts and you smash through 100,000. And they're like, well, we can't keep sending out these like big, thick metal plaques to all these, people making shorts, unfortunately. It's kind of unfortunate. There should be like a different plaque for like
should
people
have been a different one for the shorts.
Like people who didn't try,
Yeah. And instead of a little check mark, it should just be like a little frowny face next to your name.
or one of those emojis where somebody puts their hands up like, ah.
But it is truly a different thing because if you have 100,000 subscribers for long form content, you can be like, okay, that person's like doing pretty well. Like that's a viable business. If you have 100,000 subscribers from shorts, it's like you might be making a couple $100 every month or something like that. I don't, not to cast too many dispersions on the short creators because that is a skill unto itself, but it's kind of a different beast.
Yeah. Well, I will say selfishly though, in my OCD, if the 1 million plaque is now the same size as the old 100K plaque, I love it. Because I hated how the 1 million one was bigger, and you see it on people's walls, and I'm like, they should be the same size.
Yep. It is the exact same. So if you got the old 100,000, if you get the new million one, then they're the same size.
I mean, am I ever going to hit 1 million?
Yeah, you'll get there.
Zach, you're looking pretty good on the roll.
Yeah, I gotta be relatively close to 500,000 now, but there's still so much air between 500,000 and 1 million. It's like, I gotta double this thing again.
Yeah,
so, years of work.
Years.
So, John, like Zach had said, we definitely see your channel as one of those that like everybody knows when you start a channel. For the most part, there are exceptions where it's slow. Yep. It's slow. Oh, you see a little bit of steam, and now like your channel's kind of at the point where you're putting out videos and you're like, I can expect them to do fairly well, right? Like, you're not going to put out a video that gets 200 views.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So like, have you, like, how's your mindset changed from there? Like, have you felt like a lot more pressure? Does it make you more excited? Does it scare you? How does it feel?
Yeah, all of the above.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot more stressful. So I'm constantly checking the analytics and everything as soon as I drop a video. It's like, is this one going to do good? Did I really screw this one up? Nobody's going to watch it.
And I assume now you're starting to track more interest from sponsors and stuff like that too. So there's also the pressure of, this video has to perform so that I can maintain a certain level of income so I can keep attracting new sponsors and stuff like that. So that adds a whole new level of stress to it too, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Been trying not to get too wrapped up into the sponsors. So I haven't been actively pursuing a lot of them.
Okay.
We are working with the same agent that y'all are working with, but I'm not been actively going after any. If something good comes along, I'll accept it. But yeah, I'm trying not to get to the point where I feel like I have to have a sponsor for every video or anything like that.
It is kind of a trap that you can fall into for sure. It's good to just create and put the video out when you think it's done and when it's ready, right? So, and I also think for somebody of your size, if you don't if you can delay the sponsors, it does kind of turbocharge your growth to some degree too, right? Because you don't have that big dip in the middle of your video where everybody's skipping over the sponsor segment. You can, win a little bit more goodwill with the audience, and then, potentially cash in more later once you get up to 1 million subscribers or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to push it off for now and not get to the point where I'm, relying on that extra income coming in. It'd be really nice, but it's like, if I can just do this through other means and not have basically another boss telling me, okay, it's got to be done on this deadline. It's got to look just like this, and, have all of the contract requirements and all that you've got to follow through on. It's just like, I can just make whatever I want and post it.
Yeah.
It's good or it's not, depending on me, and not people leaving because of a sponsor that came up.
Yeah. And I mean, there's also controversies that can happen taking the wrong sponsor, to Keith Johnson about Temu and,
It's Temu.
Temu.
Yeah, they haven't got the hint yet. They're still sending me an email about it every week. Or
I'm pretty sure they hit everybody.
Yeah. They hit me up too. But
I've heard from them in a while. They went really aggressive for a while there.
Yeah. You know who was relentless is Flexi Spot Desks.
Yes.
Yeah, dude, I get so many emails from them, but I haven't. They email me like once a week, but have never been able to put together a solid offer.
No, it never goes anywhere, and it's always a different person. It seems like that's sending the emails. Like they don't talk to each other or something.
Yeah, I think there's some sort of agency that's like outsourcing, or there's almost like bounties on these things where a brand will just say, we'll pay you, $2,000 if you can get a YouTuber with, more than $100,000 or 100,000 subscribers to do the spot. And then they're just so they'll offer you 1,000 and try and make the difference. And it's just like an open net, like anybody can take that job. Because I'm literally getting emails from dozens of different people who all claim to be repping the same company. Right. It's like, really? Do you have like 12 different people working for your outreach team?
I just got up to free lights tier. I've been getting that email lately.
Free lights?
Free shop lights, yeah. Like, like the overhead lights. Yeah.
Yes. What's the big one who used to sponsor everybody?
American Green Lights.
American Green Lights. Thank you, Eric.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll wait. I'll hold out for them.
Yeah, wait for them. So, John, tell me about do you have plans to go full time anytime soon? Or what's the next year looking like for you, do you think?
Not anytime soon. I have a pretty lucrative day job as an engineer, get paid very well at that. So it would take a lot for content creation to get to the point where I'm saying, okay, I can step away from that job and do content creation full time. But I am looking at this very much as a business, and treating it like a business, and looking to diversify my income to get multiple income streams where, like I said, I'm not just depending on a sponsor for every video. I'm not just depending on like AdSense. I'm starting to get into other things like doing digital plans and selling those. I'd like at some point maybe to do some type of either membership or course, something like that, something that I own myself and I'm the one getting the income and not dependent on something else.
So what's the most promising for you so far?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing.
Good question, yeah.
The plans have been doing fairly well. I've gotten just a handful of them out so far, especially November and leading into December and Christmas. plans were selling really well through there. It's slowed down a little bit now, coming out of the holidays, but yeah, I'm definitely going to spend this year investing more and getting more plans on the website and selling those.
That's awesome. So is it purely a financial thing for you? Like, are you not, what I'm asking is, are you waiting till you're hitting a certain, does your content creation business have to eclipse your day job before you're willing to jump in with both feet? Or would you be willing to take a small pay cut, for the love of the game or whatever you want to call it?
Or is it purely just like, I love having a hobby business, a decent amount of side income? Is that okay?
It's a little bit of all of the above. Yeah. For me to completely walk away from the day job, I would have to eclipse that income to feel comfortable that I could step away. Then I have a little bit of room if it does pull back a little bit and income drops. I want to make sure that I'm comfortable before I fully step away. But also, I just want to see where I can take it.
Yeah, totally.
And see where I can get to, because I enjoy the challenge and trying something new and learning new things.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I mean,
it's not running out. Go for it.
Yeah.
And it's tricky too, because, Eric, I'm sure you can attest to this, is that the money fluctuates too. So you might have a couple good months, especially going into November, December, and then in July, things aren't looking quite as peachy as they were. So it's not, you have to look at like a long enough time horizon in order to really make an educated choice like that.
Right. Yeah, I would want to have a pretty good, nest egg set aside for those rainy days when it's not coming in as well. Yeah,
exactly.
That's kind of how I am as well. Like, John, I'm also an engineer, so it's like the day job takes care of us pretty well. But like, I do want to get to the point where I can quit, but it's scary with the huge fluctuations of, you have those where aren't looking, but then you have other months where you're like, hey, right?
Eric, we're laughing we all kind over here.
See that?
You went robot.
We're laughing over it because you're getting some crazy artifacting on your voice. You sounded like a robot there for the last 10 seconds.
You might need to repeat that.
Yeah, you might need to say that again. Or maybe we've lost him.
We completely lost him.
Yeah, I think we might have lost him. Oh, there we okay. Now you're back. We hear you now. This is the
go ahead. I'll just chime in with small things. I'm going to have to be an active listener on this episode.
But yeah, on that, the other thing I wanted to say is, as far as my day job as an engineer, I actually, enjoy that as well. So that would be one reason not to step away from it and continue to do both. Do
you get something from your day job that you don't get from the content creation things? Like, are the things you're making in the workshop maybe not as complex as the stuff you were doing at work, or what's the?
Yeah, so the day job is very analytical.
Yeah,
a lot of analysis, a lot of details. I conduct basically investigations whenever things fail, and we're trying to figure out what happened and prevent that from happening again. So that part I enjoy. I'm a very analytical, data-driven person, but sometimes I need the more creative break that is almost completely a 180 from that. And that's where I get out into the shop and I'm building something, creating something, that's completely different from the day job. So I like that balance of being able to go back and forth.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a different part of your brain. Even if there's, maybe even if the project itself has some engineering components to it, there's still there's acting, there's videography, there's scripting, there's all these other parts of your brain that you're also engaging. And then also the business side of things where you're trying to create products and stuff like that. So I understand. It's
So with the day job, when do you have a set time that you set aside for shop time, or is it just whenever you can fit it in?
Yeah, whenever I can fit it in, which isn't
So
very much with
nights and weekends.
A high demand day job and a family. I've got 2 young kids, so
it's a lot, man.
Don't get a whole lot of time. That's why it seems to take me months to get a video out.
Well, I'm looking at your channel right now. You just did 2 very kind of back to back there, and then it's how many? You've done a decent amount this year. You're up to 10 in the last year or so.
About 10 and
more than
I think.
Honestly, I was about the same. I think I just squeaked 12 in, and I'm doing it full time. Like, I don't think people understand how time consuming it can be to do these, especially at a high level. Like anybody can put together 15 minutes of garbage, but to actually have something that a lot of people want to watch, it's tricky.
Yeah, and that's the thing that takes me a very long time. I put a lot into planning and trying to decide what exactly I want to make a video on, and then I do a lot of research whenever I have an idea on, all right, what is out there, what have people already done on this topic, and how well has that performed. And I start looking at titles and thumbnails and their content and going through that, making a lot of notes. What do I want to include? What do I want to make sure not to do? Is because someone else, some of the comments or something in someone else's video, they didn't like that. All right, let me find a different way to do it.
So interesting.
I do a lot of that research and taking notes before I ever even step foot in the shop and start filming or building anything.
So what does that research look like?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Lots of YouTube. So sitting
down,
just
consuming other people's
searching,
content.
Watching videos, taking notes. I have a document that I'll start for each video, and I'll write down videos that I've watched. I'll take screenshots of the thumbnail. I'll get the title, make notes going through the video. I'll read all the comments that I can and just make notes on everything going throughout. And then when I'm ready to make my video, I know what I want to include. And then I'll write basically word for word the intro and hook and try to get that to right about 30 seconds is what I try to aim for. So that is word for word what I want going into the hook. And then the rest of the video, I'll have more like bullet points and topics that I want to hit going through it, but I don't script it out so much.
Yeah. That's I've worked that system for a long time, and it's because that first 30 seconds is so key, right? It's like you really need to be as tight as possible. You need to be high energy, like try and you need to give somebody a reason to stick around and watch the rest of the video. So how does ideation work for you then? Are you more so looking at what other videos are performing for other people and thinking how you can do a twist on that? Or are you thinking things that you'd like to see, like what would you like to say, and then seeing if there's an audience for it by doing the research?
Yeah, so a little bit of both. I keep my eye out for what other people are making to see if there's any trends that are really taking off. It's something that I want to try to jump on board with. I don't want to be too much of a trend chaser, just copying everyone else. But there is something for that. If something is doing well and it's doing well over and over, it's like it might be a good thing to try that out and see if I can make my own twist on it and see if I can do it just a little bit better, a little bit different, and try that. On others, it's okay, what do I want to build next? What gets me excited to be out in the shop, to make a project around, and to talk about in a video? And I'll say, okay, is that something that there is an audience for? And if it's not, it's all right, why isn't there? Or the videos that are out there, they're just not interesting enough to, how did they not package it well? Can I package it a little bit differently and try to make it a little more interesting?
Yeah. I think the packaging thing is kind of underrated. There's lots of concepts, unexploited concepts that people just haven't found the right way to package so far.
Right.
So, but it's tough. It's hard to know when that is the case. Sorry, Eric, I cut you off.
No, you're good. I mean, it could be something as simple as like, what's the difference between a drill and an impact driver? Okay, that's going to be a boring video. But if you find a way to package it interesting, 9 out of 10 people use this wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. But it can still be a topical video. I really like the way you said that, John, is like, if I have an idea and it's not a successful video, or other people haven't had success making that video, why?
Right.
That's something I haven't thought of until you said that. And it's really got my brain spinning now. Like, you'll ever have like family members are like, oh, you should do a video on this. And you're like, no. But why am I saying no? Is it because I didn't think critically enough about how to make that an interesting video? That's going to make me
you got to turn it around the other way instead of, no, that'll never work. Okay, what would it take to make that work?
Yes. I think that's actually a very underrated skill for anybody who wants to get into entrepreneurship, because anybody can say all the reasons that it won't work. Like that's actually a very low level skill to kind of be like, well, you can't do it because of this and this and this. Right. It's like, but the actual problem solving is saying, how can I make it work? Well, what about if we looked at it from this angle? What about if we did it this way, packaged it that way? So yeah, I think that's very smart. Yeah.
No, I feel like my brain's like spinning on that now because I'm working on I wrote it down. I finished my miter saw station, and now the next thing is my wife was like, hey, can we do a laundry room renovation? So I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And I'm like, how am I going to package this to make it interesting? Because it's more cabinets, just like the miter saw station, but like,
maybe it's focusing on smart design, talking about like, how do you walk into a room and think like, what are the pain points I have with the space and how can I alleviate them in a DIY project? Something like, I don't know, like, there's just different
find something unique about it that you can, kind of expand upon.
Yeah.
Something a little bit different.
Is it cheaper to do your own renovation versus hiring it out and like get somebody to bid on it and, follow your hours and your hourly rate and all that kind of stuff? And everybody knows it's going to be cheaper to hire someone else to do it.
I mean, but you throw that money sign in the thumbnail, and all of a sudden,
that always works, right?
Yeah. Contractor wanted 50,000. I did it for 10 or something like that.
Yeah. You think it'd really be 50,000? I guess depending on the size of your laundry room.
It depends on how nice your washer
is. 4 by 8.
or laundry room. Sorry, I was thinking washer. Yeah. But you got some nice appliances in there. You got some Italian washing machines.
Get the Ferrari of washing machines. Well, John, what video concepts are you working on currently, or like are you ideating on, or like what's exciting you right now that you're working on?
Eric, you son of a bitch, that was my question. You stole it from me.
So what I'm working on right now is kind of one of these that I've seen other videos out there, and it's like, oh, they did okay, didn't perform great, and I'm trying to work through, okay, how can I make this a bit more interesting? So I'm building basically shop storage, but this is going to be one of those cabinets that goes up underneath the wing of the table saw to store all the table saw accessories and everything that you want right there at the saw. But I don't want to package it as table saw accessory storage. I'm looking at a different way, that I can talk about shop storage, because that is a popular topic on YouTube. A lot of people are interested in how to be more efficient with shop storage, or how to build better cabinets, something like that. So I'm going to take more of that approach to the packaging and not let you know right up front that this is very specifically to go underneath the table saw.
Yeah. I mean,
this solves the biggest. This, and I mean, that's the wrong words. This fixes the biggest wasted space in everyone's wood shop, or something like that.
Wasted space is definitely one of the themes that I'm considering heavily leading into.
See, so what you're saying there, wasted space. So you kind of think like, what's a common pain point that a lot of people have, and you kind of work back from that to craft your titles and concepts for the video and stuff. So I feel like that's it's a weird analytical skill that you kind of build over years and years. And honestly, John, like, I'm scrolling back. You've been doing this for 2 years now. I wish I was thinking at your level when I was 2 years into it. When I was 2 years into it, I was still kind of like, what do I want to build? Like, that'd be fun. That'd be a fun weekend project that I can film and maybe get some views on. So it's
that's really the toughest part of it, I think, is really coming up with the packaging, the thumbnail, the title, that intro and that hook. You can't underplay how important that is, because if you lose them within the first 30 seconds, the video's not going to do any good. You've got to hook them very quickly and get them to stick through the video.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, you almost have to think title, thumbnail, hook first. Like you have to be thinking about those from the onset. Eric and I have talked about this. We used to film entire videos, and then we'd be like, okay, now what title and thumbnail can I put on this? And it's like, that is not the way to be operating in 2025.
It can work, but it's definitely not the most efficient.
Yeah, when I try to go that route, it's a lot more trial and error. You're just throwing things at the video at that point, trying to see what will stick.
Exactly. You're just cycling through things on Thumbnail Tester, like going crazy, like trying a million different things and seeing like it was one of these 1% better than the rest.
That's where we all start, though.
Oh yeah.
What's that?
I feel like that's where we all start, though.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
You're just scrambling.
Majority
to
of
come
mine
up with anything
is just trying and see what will work. Yeah. And after a while, you start to get a little bit better of an idea. Okay, I know this will work a little bit better than what I used to do. And the more you do it, the more you start to learn and you start to pick up what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, and I also think there's more to thumbnail than just the thumbnail itself. Like you've done a great job of like branding all of your thumbnails. So you have that green color that you're using relatively consistently throughout it. And that might, like, people will know, oh, this is a John video. This is a Biscuitry Woodworks video. And there's a certain level of quality and like a certain level of something that they can expect from something like that. So if somebody else were to just take one of your thumbnails, it might not work as effectively for them too, right? So you're you're also building. There's also like a branding element that goes into your thumbnails as well.
Yeah, and that's something that I've kind of experimented with when I have been trying to learn thumbnails, is looking at what's out there within the niche and even in adjacent niches and looking at their thumbnail concepts. Like, all right, how can I remake that? For my video, and then that starts to get your brain moving and starting to think about things a little differently on how you can package it, and you start to try out some of these different styles and kind of figure out, all right, what works for me and what works for my style, and that's when you start developing a bit of your own. Once you start to learn how these other people make their thumbnails. Yeah.
It's just, so you said you looked in some like adjacent verticals. What kind of niches were you poking around in?
Yeah, so I'll look a little bit into like the technology, other crafting niches outside of woodworking. The content creation niches has some interesting ones. Sometimes even looking at like the fitness niche, they have some concepts that are interesting that I'll try to bring in.
Interesting. I was talking to a fitness YouTuber recently and talking about like how different the thing was. He was like, I just set up the camera. I do a bunch of stretches. Like his whole channel is about stretching. So it's like, I literally just do long form videos of me stretching in front of the camera. It's like, damn, that sounds nice. So
what's been probably the most surprising thing that you've picked up from a niche that's like furthest removed?
I've been working a lot with what's it called? Creator hooks. Have y'all looked into that?
No,
I'm not aware.
Creator Hooks Pro, and that has helped a lot with looking at different titles and thumbnails across multiple niches. And you can use that and replace a couple of keywords in the title or thumbnail and see how would that play with my type of video. So it'll serve you something from, finance or something, the top stocks to buy for 2025. And then, you can change a couple of words and make that the top tools for woodworkers in 2025,
sure.
Things like that. That has been really interesting, playing around with some titles from other niches where you see a video that's really outperformed. Say, okay, how could I change a couple of words and make that look like a woodworking video title?
Now that's an interesting concept. Interesting. I'm definitely going to play with that Creator Hooks website. I actually have it pulled up right here. I'm looking at like an example of the UI. It's pretty neat. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They got a plug from Matt Outlaw on there, so do
they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's used it a lot.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I believe Woodworks is using it as well. I think I've seen him talk about it.
I think that's crazy that you can make you could make a video, and we know this, right? By just changing like a couple words in the title, it could mean the difference of hundreds of thousands of views.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Right? Yeah. That's honestly, one thing I think is very underrated is I use that thumbnailtester.com. Sometimes I don't even change the titles. I just change the verbiage in my titles. And sometimes I'll mess with small things like, just changing a single word here and there and see if that makes a difference. And sometimes it's like 0.1%. And it's like, okay, well, 0.1% on a thumbnail or like a title, like click-through rate, that can make a big difference, especially on a big video, right? Yeah. So
you put there, or you put they are, or biggest, or largest, or like most, or something like that. I
built the biggest XYZ. I built a huge XYZ. I built the world's largest. Like all these, like just massive. Try and play with exactly all these. Okay, like maybe there's something about the word massive that sticks out more on a page and just grabs people's attention just a little bit better. Yeah,
and you'll definitely start seeing, trends that'll go through, and you'll see a phase where a certain title structure or a certain type of thumbnail seems to be working good for a while, and it'll work for a while, and then I think it kind of phases out, and then it'll be on to the next big thing, right?
Well, I mean, take Eric's. I can't believe more people don't do this.
No.
No, but like literally. John from Lincoln Street just put out a video not long ago that was, I don't get why more people don't build cabinets like this. Same idea. Scott.
And he was razzing me for it too.
I know. He was razzing you so hard.
Remember we were having a beer at Workbench Con, and he's like, dude, I would never put that title on one of my videos.
Yeah.
As soon as he sees it works, he's going to put it on there.
Right. It's all in good fun. We're friends. Like,
yeah. And then Scott had it recently on his video too, but he's changed it now. I can't remember. I think it was, I can't believe every workbench doesn't have this or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like things just propagate through the community because you see it works for somebody else, and it's like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I definitely used it on some of my videos.
Yeah. Well, see, this made me circle back to what you were saying earlier, John. Scott's latest video, he started doing a course. John, you had mentioned that, like, I might want to be interested in courses. Have you thought about like an idea or something that you think might work well in a course of yours, or like what ideas are you kicking around? You don't have to share tons of details if you got like a killer idea that nobody else
has. Nothing specific, but I was very heavily influenced early on by Mark Spagnolo and the Wood Whisperer.
Yeah.
So I think if I did some type of courses, it would be more along those lines that he did with the Guild. It would be very project specific and be a much more in-depth look into that project, maybe over a very long or multiple videos showing every single step along the way and every little tip and trick that I can think of to include in building that project.
Yeah.
If you watch my videos, that's what I try to get across in every video is I try to deliver as much information as I can. And I want the people that come away from that video saying, yes, I learned something. Even if you've been woodworking for years, I'm going to have something in there that you've never heard before, and something that you can take away and say, yeah, I learned something from that video.
Are you like me, and were you, like, let's think of that idea, right? Okay, you put like a highlight, a 15, 20-minute build video out, and then you put out a 3-4 hour long, highly instructional video. Are you like me in the fact that it kind of scares you to put that much time into something that could potentially have no one ever watch it? Or is it like, am I better off just putting out more YouTube videos and skipping out on that super long form one? Do you find yourself like over analyzing? Well, I could do this. Well, I could do this. Well, actually, I could try this too. Like, do you get stuck in that wheel?
Every video that I'm working on, I'll procrastinate so long thinking through the what ifs and what if I didn't do it from this approach that I originally decided, and I go with a completely different approach and theme for the videos. Like, would that do better, or would the original one do better? And you go back and forth, and eventually I just have to say, all right, this is the path I'm going. We're going to go down this path and burn the bridges. Just
classic analysis paralysis, right?
Yeah.
Well, you just put out a rather long video that's like, it's an hour and 31 minutes. So what was that? Like, you must have invested a ton of time in that project.
That was the fastest video I've ever made, I think.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, that was just like a compilation video, right?
That is a compilation video.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I haven't
Was the first part new, though?
Yep.
Okay, I thought so. I was like, I didn't recognize the first part.
Yeah, so I redid an intro. So I shot a brand new intro for it and set it up like it's a woodworking course where I'm going to walk you through these projects from beginner to an expert type build.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And after each video, I reintroduce, all right, so we just did this. I taught you how to build a cutting board. Well, now let's build a box. And then after the box, all right, so now you know how to build basic boxes and you can cut things square. Let's build a piece of furniture and just keep progressing and make it a little bit more complex with each preceding video.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting take on the compilation video, rather than
I like that.
Hey, today I'm going to show you my 5 of my favorite projects I've built, or today I'm going to show you 3 beginning woodworking projects. That's a clever way to disguise a compilation video.
I think, I think if you can find a way to, especially weave a narrative in a compilation video, like that's, that's a,
There's got to be something that connects all of those videos for it to make sense. Otherwise, you're just throwing things together and putting something out there.
And it's nice, if you can add like a layer of meta narrative on top of it that adds additional value. It's like, okay, here's the other things, but now I'm going to like discuss like, why this one is harder than this one, or like some, I don't know, some other, you can give the audience some other high level takeaway, as well as giving them like all the projects smashed together. That's kind of cool.
So how's that doing for you?
Not bad. It did better than I expected, from the people that I've talked to that have done the compilation videos. They say, oh, they don't really do that well at the beginning, but the view duration is much higher because it's such a much longer video. Yeah. But no, it's actually performed pretty decent for me. It's not, the top video I've ever made, but it's definitely doing pretty good.
I find that the longer videos live a longer life. They'll get more recommendations. I keep getting recommended these videos that are like, 10 woodworking projects to fall asleep to. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting, like, you're like almost encouraging people to just like put it on and forget about it, right?
Yeah.
That would be the best thing, right? Then they get through the whole video.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
and maybe a couple more.
I was honestly thinking about it. Next time I do a compilation video, it might just be like, 5 DIY projects to fall asleep to or something like that.
What you got to do is make several compilation videos and put those into a playlist.
There you go.
Yeah, honestly.
Ooh.
Honestly.
That will get you some session time.
I want to, so going back to the discussion of courses, I really want to have Scott on to talk about what his experience is like making that course. Because I know
that would be really interesting with the one
he invested a lot of time into making that course, to the detriment of kind of the rest. Like, he didn't put out a video for like 3 months or so because he was working on this course. So I would love to talk to him, with the benefit of hindsight. Mind you, it's only been a few weeks or something, so it's not like a ton of time has passed. But whether or not he thinks that was the correct decision to make, because making a course is super time intensive.
Yeah, and something like that, it may be way too early to really know, because I think that's something that's going to basically play out over the long term, right? And it's really going to benefit you more and have much more of an impact, just like with digital plans. You put out one plan on your website, it's not going to change your life.
True.
You have 20 on your website. Now you're going to have something consistently coming in, because someone might not like that one, but they're like, oh, I like this one over here, and maybe that one right there. And it starts to build upon itself because you have more of a selection for them to choose from.
And I think it becomes a little bit of a branding exercise, just like thumbnails and titles. Somebody buys one and like, oh, this is actually a quality product. They all of a sudden know what they can expect when they buy a Biscuitry set of plans, right? So it does take a little while to build on itself. So yeah, it's oh man, it's so hard to know what to invest your time in as an entrepreneur, I guess. Yeah, torn in so many different directions.
So when did you start doing plans?
That's only been a few months itself. So about July, August, I started doing plans last year.
All right.
So.
Okay.
And I found a guy that did the plans for me. He does plans for several other people in our niche. And,
nice.
Yeah, I just said, all right, here's 4 old videos that I did. Can you make me plans on these? And he did those. I launched them. They performed pretty well. It's like, all right, so I'm going to do this going forward. Whenever I have a project that is going to be well suited for plans, as soon as I have the video done, but before I go live with it, I'll send it over to him. He'll make me the plans real quick. And then when I go live with the video, I've got a link to the plans there.
Yes.
So he turns them around pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's,
he's done pretty good at it. And he doesn't need a lot of information. He can basically take the video and build the plans. And
from that,
just every once in a while, he'll say, hey, this one dimension I wasn't quite sure on. Is it this or is it this? And give him a couple of dimensions and he's good to go.
It's good to go. That's tricky too. When you start getting to plans and you're relying on a third party to do them for you, if you have, say the video's done, you have a sponsor on it, they want that video to get out, and you're like, well, I don't want to launch it until these plans are done, because that's like, you can't reference
juggling all of those schedules and all those moving pieces. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he might be a good guest to talk to.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Is it Brett by any chance?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. I think he does a lot of, I don't know if he still does Eric's plans, but I know he's done some plans for Eric in the past. He's a nice guy. I met him at Workbench, which I guess probably where you met him too. Finding all the different ways to monetize your channel is tricky. Have you had any luck with affiliate marketing?
I've done pretty well with that. I mostly just do Amazon. I don't go do a lot of the individual companies or anything. Amazon just makes it so easy and so straightforward, and I just go in and copy the things that I'm using in the video, paste them in there, and just roll with it. I did one video early December, late November, which was basically an affiliate related video. Is just a big push for affiliate sales right there at Christmas, and
I think you mentioned that
extremely well,
either in the live chat or the Discord, maybe when we were talking about it before. Yeah, there's I was quite surprised at the difference in reaction, or like the difference in uptake. Like let's call it like a shopping video, for lack of a better term, versus like I always have Amazon affiliate links in my videos, but doing like a dedicated shopping video was like complete other level. I was like, oh, I can totally see how people make entire.
Oh yeah, it makes it very clear why people jump on board of that and just do tool videos, right? Because, once you start getting that affiliate income coming in, that can be pretty significant.
Yeah, I went a long time when it was, I was just making a couple $100 a month or something like that. And I was like, whatever, this is not really worth my time. But now it's kind of like made me rethink it. I was like, I might do one of these videos every year, or maybe every 6 months or something like that. Because they were relatively light lift in terms of production. You do a script and you can basically shoot in a day, right? Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to, like I said, go down that path to where that's, 90% of my channel or anything. But like you said, doing one every 6 months, maybe once a year.
Yeah.
Keep the affiliate income coming in. That'd be decent.
Yeah. I would. I mean, again, it's gotta, like, you have to enjoy what you're doing to some degree, right? And I just don't. I wouldn't. I don't think I would enjoy making those videos.
Yeah, I don't get a lot out of that, and you'll get comments every once in a while. People are like, "Oh, another one of these videos. You're becoming one of those, guys are just hawking tools to everyone." It's like, no, it's one video.
Yeah.
Give me a couple of weeks. I've got to build video. It's coming out. I promise.
Yeah. And I do legitimately think like there is value to be delivered there. Because if you've gone through, if you've bought 20 impact drivers and they all suck except for one. Like, yeah, like tell people about the good one, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. But I understand. I think a lot of people are worried that their favorite creator is going to fall into this shopping list video niche and just so
well, you see that a lot, but for a lot of people, they have to change something at some point, because if you just do the same thing over and over and over continuously, eventually that audience starts to move on, and the views and everything starts to die off. You've got to find something else. You've got to change to get new audience coming in and to keep the channel alive.
Yeah, that's got to be hard to keep innovating. Basically, every week you're trying to come up with something new.
Yeah, you've got to keep it fresh and keep new ideas coming in. Just trying out something different, and just because doing the same thing over and over and over again, the audience is going to get bored with that.
Yeah.
So people trying to try new things and innovate, and then they do a few of these tool videos and are like, oh wow, that really boosted the income coming in, and then they just start doing those over and over and over because it works so well and it's such an easy lift.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious, like whether the audience does get bored of them. Like, yes, you are going to alienate like some percentage of your audience, but you can also just kind of become like Matt Outlaw. You become like the tool list video guy, and like.
And also,
he has a great audience, so yeah.
I mean, if you're looking for a new tool and you're like, I want to look at some reviews of somebody that I know that I trust, then you kind of know who to go for then.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean,
but you're not doing that every week. You're doing that once a year, maybe.
Right.
Yeah. Ideally.
And he's not doing big tools. He's doing all the. But then again, I think that's the smart thing of it is he's doing all the like. What homeowner accessible tools, like what an average homeowner would go for, because they're the ones that are going to be looking up, what's the best impact driver or whatever that I can get. And that's probably why it's crushing for him.
And it's also, there's so much uncertainty when you're dealing with the kind of the bottom end of the spectrum. Because like we all know that there's good tools out there that are cheap. But there's also a lot of junk too. So to be able to sort through the junk and be like, okay, this one's actually a gem and only costs you $20. Whereas everybody knows the Domino's the best, but not everybody's willing to plop down $2,000 on a tool every single day, right? So
we know the Domino's the best at making Domino's, but what's the best at making biscuits? Something the average person's going to do. So you're going to look at those.
Yeah. The tool list video, I don't know. It's interesting. It's such a light lift. So it's we were talking last week, John, about like trying to find one of the things I want to do this year is to try and explore new formats because the projects are hard. Like how long do you typically invest in shooting one of your videos? Let's leave editing and like the pre-pro and all that out of it. How long does it normally take you?
Shooting it?
Yeah.
3 to 6 weeks, probably.
Yeah. And I guess that's not dedicated like working at it full steam, right? Because you're
that's me getting it as I have a chance to get out there in the shop with everything else.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes that's 1 day a week. Sometimes I might get 3 days in a week.
Are you still doing your own editing?
No. No, so I started working with an editor last year, and that has helped a lot because I'm not good at editing. I don't enjoy the editing. So my editor does the vast majority of it and gets it probably 90-95% of the way there, and then I'll take it and just go in and make a few final tweaks. Usually it's adding a couple more pieces of B-roll or just changing things around because the order isn't quite right. And making just a few minor adjustments to make it feel more like me and what I typically do, so that it doesn't look like it's someone completely different that edited the video.
If you don't mind me asking, how much do you pay for that?
Actually, really good price. I'm only paying like $30 an hour for an editor. And
so that's raw footage.
Usually just a handful of hours and I'm done. So I usually don't pay more than about $150 for a video.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That's great. Yeah. I started hitting my editor with so much footage. I would just give him hours and hours of footage. He was like, he used to just give me like a flat rate. He was like, I'm going to start charging you like he does like a base rate, then plus X amount for every minute of footage.
Yes, I don't take that much footage when I'm doing a video. My clips are usually just a few seconds long. I get exactly what I want to go into the video and nothing else.
I can only do that if I plan out the video ahead of time. If I like sit there and I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk and I want this B-roll, I want that B-roll, then I can work very efficiently. But if I'm doing a project, I'm just kind of like cameras rolling all the time, sort it out later, which is dangerous because then you have to sort through all that footage and organize it. And
how rough of an outline do you give your editor?
Oh,
when you give them all the footage, like how many notes do you give
really just shoot in the order that I want it put into the video typically.
And then you just trust
so it's just clean this up and put it into the timeline. I'll have, if I have A-roll, just the talking heads, like, all right, here's the A-roll, and this B-roll goes over these sections, and that's about it.
Be like, hey, clip A, B, C, D goes on top of this one, or do you just kind of be like, hey, this is B-roll, or like, how much input are you giving them when you send all the stuff over?
Yeah, actually, very little. If it's a really complex one, I will put just different folders. So I'll shoot the A-roll. It's like, all right, here's section 1, and here's all the B-roll that goes with section 1. Here's section 2, and all the B-roll that goes with that. But for the most part, I'm shooting everything sequentially. So I'll have the talking head part, then I'll shoot the B-roll, then I'll go to the next section, talking head, shoot the B-roll.
Where do you share?
And how did you find your editor?
Actually, Corey, if he's still in here, he actually found the editor and shared it with several of us, and we've all been using the same one.
Oh, very cool. That's nice when you can make it work with a group of friends.
Yeah, you find someone that's already tried one out and tested and said, all right, yeah, this person's pretty decent. It's like, good. I don't have to wade through 100 of them on Fiverr or something like that to find someone decent.
Yeah, I got so lucky finding my editor relatively early on, and like he stayed with me throughout the whole thing, because I can only imagine how infuriating it would be trying to, find somebody who understood what you're trying to do.
Coming up with a new workflow, having somebody who understands what you want, somebody who does a decent job, like somebody who meets a deadline, like it would be so hard.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So John, do you have your editor do like just the rough out and then you like finalize and polish everything, or do you guys go back like several drafts? How do you guys handle that?
Usually it goes back and forth just a couple of times. I'll get a very rough edit first go around.
Right.
It'll come back. I'll review it, make some notes. All right, make these changes, and 2 or 3 rounds of that. And I'm like, all right, it's 95% of the way there. I'll take it from here.
Right.
Final polish and finish it up.
Yeah. Delete a couple frames, add a little something, add your voiceover, you can do this, do that, whatever. It makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Zach, is that kind of like the same workflow more or less that you and Bryson have?
Pretty close. Yeah. I mean, it kind of depends on the project. A lot of the time, like we just finished one where it was a pretty tight deadline. So I was in there a lot working because I know what I want at the end of the day. So sometimes it's easier for me to just do things than it is to explain to somebody else.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you've got that mindset and that vision, how do you really explain that to someone? That can be kind of difficult.
Yeah.
Right?
Sometimes it's literally more time consuming to sit there and type out, hey, I want this B-roll clip over this A-roll clip, but I want you to like put a little break in the middle so you see my face for 10 seconds and then it's back to the B-roll. It's like, I could just do that. It's just like, that's
just send it over and I'll finish.
That's my biggest hang up with an editor. Like I'm shooting with my concept, with my idea in mind. So like I'll be shooting and then like as soon as I'm done shooting, I'm like, okay, well, I know I want to put a B-roll clip here. So I'm just going to film this B-roll clip. Now I want to import all the stuff. I'm just like, all right, that goes on top. I'm going to shorten this. And I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah. True.
Sounds like with an editor, you just got to be willing to let go.
I know.
Trust them.
Yeah. I mean,
I can't let go.
it is very much a relationship, right? Like they're kind of in your head, you're kind of in their head. When it's good, when it's working well, it's like they'll intuit the things that you want. And sometimes they'll bring their own flair to it. You'll be like, oh, I didn't think about putting that B-roll clip there, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
So,
well, Zach, one of the things that you had mentioned, and I know we talked about this in the earlier episode, I don't know what it was in context with, but it was something along the lines of like, if you're editing a video or doing something, you're agonizing over every single little detail. Whereas if you sent me all your footage and I threw a video together, you'd go, "Yeah, that's fine."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Because you're not
100%.
agonizing over everything. Like if it still meets your standards, like is it exactly how you would have done it? Well, no.
Yeah.
But is it good enough? Okay, then they did a great job.
Yeah, and so it's funny. Sometimes the opposite is true. Like I can't remember. It was actually the tool list video that I was working on with Bryson before the holidays.
Yeah.
He was like painstakingly going over it and like trying to find. Basically the way I did it was for every tool in my list, I shot like 2 or 3 takes of A-roll. Yeah. And I was like, okay, just like cut it together. Take the if there's like a sentence I screw up, take it from one of the other ones. And do it. And he was very painstakingly like chopping it up almost like word by word or phrase by phrase and then making like a compilation of the best one. I was like, oh, dude, just go in and like I went through and did it, like cut down the A-roll in like 30 minutes because I was like, okay, that was good enough. Like sometimes he's a little more detail oriented than I am.
Sure. And then you're like, damn it, Bryson, you're costing me too much money.
No, because I pay him by the footage essentially, so he's just using his own time.
I was kneecapping himself there.
Yeah.
So you pay him on like, hey, I gave you 95 minutes of footage. Here's the rate.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I was saying when you were when your connection dropped out, I give there's like a base rate and then plus like a dollar amount per minute of footage.
Okay. Yeah. Seems.
Yeah. So those of you that use editors, are you supplying your voiceover ahead of time or are you voicing over what they've edited?
Good question. Sometimes both. Okay. A lot of the time,
it depends.
A lot of the time, what I'll do is I will give him all the footage and he'll cut it down and organize it. And then I go in and do the voiceover. And then he'll go and cut everything to match the voiceover.
Okay.
Do like 2 rounds. But sometimes whenever possible, I'll just try and give him everything up front so that he's never in a position where he has to wait for me to give him anything.
Yeah, so I don't do much actual, what you would call voiceover, where I'm sitting at the computer, reading into the mic. I do a lot of things in the shop. I'll say what I want to say for a section, and then I'll shoot the B-roll. So they've got all of that footage. Now, the one that I'm doing now, this storage cabinet video for the table saw, this one I'm doing a little different. I'm going to try to actually do a true voiceover for this project. So what I'm going to do is send all the footage to my editor and say, I want a very rough cut of this video. So it's, probably going to be, it might be a 30-minute video when I get it back, but we're going to keep trimming that down to, around 15 minutes or something like that. But when I get that really rough one back, I can start going through and adding the voiceover and seeing where does it make sense now for this section of the video to be over, and we'll cut that and trim things to fit.
Yeah.
So what prompted the change in format there as far as talking to camera versus voiceover?
Trying things, constantly trying things, trying to I haven't done that in a while. I was like, all right, I want to try doing an actual voiceover again to try to get better at speaking to camera, not to the camera, but speaking over the video and trying to get in a little bit more storytelling and not just, okay, I'm doing this, I'm cutting this, I'm going to glue this together and try to make it a little more interesting. It's just get that practice in, get a few more reps in with that format and see how well that does.
I found it really hard to weave a story arc together if I'm talking to the camera.
I'm the exact same way. I agree.
Personally, I do.
You're already in project mode, and then you're in camera mode, and then you got to throw story mode on top of that. Yeah, your brain's going into many directions.
And I noticed that really slows down the process in the shop of actually building things, because then I got to think, all right, what am I going to say in the section of the video? Then I do 20 takes of it because I screwed up, at least 18 of them.
And that's the other thing. I found like the pause and reset is much lower with doing voiceover afterwards. Like I can sit there and record my voiceover paragraph for a section of video and just be like, oh, I screwed that up. Okay, go back 3 words, start talking again. And you can cut it together a lot easier and nobody will ever be the wiser. Whereas it's harder to do that with video. So I found it very
Unless you've got plenty of B-roll, B-roll fixes it all.
That's true. That is very true as well.
Cut it word for word.
Of videos.
Yeah. Well, but I find it takes a lot of pressure off. And also am I explaining this to the best of my ability? Probably not if I'm doing it like off the cuff in the shop. But if I can sit down with a notepad and be like, here's the important points about this step. And so it's but it is more work. It takes more time to do it that way, I think, as well. So
so John, I'm gonna shift it a little bit here. I've noticed on your videos you work out of a garage. It looks like a 1-car garage, but the garage door is always down. You got great lighting. So do you have like a cool system in there or something? Because I know you're down here in Texas with me.
Yeah, that was one of the first things we did when we moved in was install a mini split. So it is air conditioned in there and it's insulated. Nice. I insulated the doors and all. So keeps it nice and cool in there.
Yeah. As someone who just finally got climate control in my space after almost 5-6 years, dear Lord, it is the most incredible thing in the world.
Yes.
To go out there and not have your fingers crack and bleed because it's so cold.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh man, I would take the heat over the cold. Like I didn't mind being in the garage sweating.
You say that,
dude.
Yeah, come down here in the summer.
Texas is a little different.
But go into a garage when it's like single digits and you can't even touch anything because it hurts.
Yeah.
Like
that's miserable. I don't like being cold.
So. No. You put on 9 jackets and your body's warm, but you have no like maneuverability with your fingers, right? So, you ever tried texting on your phone when your fingers are super cold? And now do that around power tools.
I think trying to apply stain whenever you're dripping with sweat is pretty difficult as well.
Well, easy solution. You just don't put stain on anything.
Okay. Well, finish. I mean,
yeah, that's fair. You're absolutely right. I've definitely done the thing where like you're sweating on what you're working on. I've done that before too. Well, should we go to the after show?
I think we should.
Out there.
We've run over our time limit.
Well, I'm going to let you guys do the outro because my internet connection is terrible today.
All right. Well, before we wrap up and head over to the after show, John, please plug. Where can the people at home find you? What's your YouTube channel? What's your Instagram? All that fun stuff.
Yeah. So Biscuit Tree Woodworks. YouTube's the best place to find everything that I'm doing. I'll post a little bit over on Instagram and Facebook. Also, Biscuit Tree Woodworks. But for all the latest and greatest, just find me on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, thank you, audience, for tuning in, and we will see you next. Oh, wait.
Ooh.
Am I screwing up? Do we have new patrons to announce?
We had the one that joined last week. We announced it during it, but we can shout out Mayday Wood Shops again for joining. We had another one, I thought, last week, and I brought that up privately with you guys afterwards. But they were actually just renewing.
Okay.
Kevin Eller. We'll still give Kevin Eller a shout out, though. Come on.
Kevin.
All right.
They paid for it.
What's that from SpongeBob? Kevin. Kevin.
All right. Well, on that note, let's roll the outro.
See ya.
I want to give a huge shout out to our returning top tier patrons: Corey Duvall at Woodcrafts and Honey, Josh at Sawdust Bills, Joe Welsh at Delaware Valley Workshop, Goblin Spanker.
You can't say that anymore.
And Dadu's debit card did work.
Bingo bango, you're done.
Zach, to be honest with you, I don't even know if I followed you.